take 80 pounds and divide it by 2.2. Times it by 30. I'm going to add 70 to that, which gives me a total amount of 1,160.9 calories times 0.9, which gives me 1,044 calories. And so if I fed him, according to my bag, it says my calculated calories per cup is 408. So, and based on his ideal weight of 80 pounds, he should be getting, as a senior, he should be getting 2 3/4 cup of food. If I feed him 2 3/4 cup of food, it puts me over his total calorie count in a day. And so, plus on top of it, if he gets a bully stick, so if I say today he's getting his food plus 1 bully stick, and 1 bully stick, a 12-inch bully stick has 176 calories, and you can look all this stuff up online. It tells you. So then I have a remaining, if I feed based on calories, I have a remaining 52.81 calories to feed him to get his nutritional value for the day. So then I may up his kibble at night to make sure that he gets the full calorie. And that's not adding in any extra into his kibble. That's just straight kibble. And so if we look at the overall calculation of calorie counting versus measuring what the bag of dog food says, we are all overfeeding our dogs based on cups versus what calorie count they should have. And so I would challenge everybody out there to take that calculation, figure out what calories, the amount of calories your dog should be getting, and start measuring to that. If you don't know what your goal weight or your ideal weight is of your dog, talk to your veterinarian and ask them, what should my dog weigh? And start counting calories. And so on that, Michelle, on calorie counting, there's so many other things that you have to look at with food. And so when you talk about no grains, do you completely zero out grains, or do you just do, small amounts of grains? Because some grains are healthy, but I don't know what Prudence can do.
She's not now as she's gotten older and stuff like that. It doesn't affect her nearly as much as it did when she was a puppy. When she was a puppy, we had to do grain free, but that was why I did start adding other stuff slowly into her diet and switching it up all the time is to make it so that she could. And now she still is sensitive, but it's if she has it once or twice, it's not going to hurt her. It's like if I started feeding her a lot of grains, it would. So it with her it just depends. She's a picky one, but she's a hard one, not a picky one. Believe me, she is not picky. She would eat it if I'd let her. That's for sure.
So as we look at a dog food bag, there obviously we know this just from human stuff is they put it in descending order of dry weight, with the ingredient of the highest quality being first. We want to avoid byproducts and avoid fillers. And what we want to do is avoid high content of grains. Some grains are not bad because if we take humans out of it and our dogs had to hunt on their own, they're going to eat, a rabbit who's been eating grass and grains and berries and everything else, and they're going to eat the stomach of that rabbit, and that rabbit's going to have some grains in their stomach. So some grains are good, small amounts. The other thing that you want to watch out for is some of the dog food companies will spread out their corn content, but altogether it's higher than your main ingredient in there. So you want to make sure that you're looking at everything from start to finish of what's in your dog food so that you can see, how much corn content, and that's probably the biggest one that you want to avoid is corn. It is an incredibly huge filler. And the other thing that they're starting to use as a filler is beet pulp. And most people don't know, beet pulp sounds pretty healthy overall, right? It's a beet. But it is a huge filler that just fills you up. It's just a fast way to fill you up. with our dog's digestive system, it's not a palatable ingredient, and so they'll just poop it out. So beet pulp is definitely a big filler that we don't necessarily recognize as one. So challenge everybody out there to take a look at their dog food bag. If they're curious about their food that they're feeding, look and research the company online, and they have all of their stuff listed. So if you throw the bag away every time, then get online and look up the dog food that you're feeding, and do some research and find out the calories and find out what you're feeding your dog. There's also two of my favorite websites out there. One is dogfoodadvisor.com, and the other one is truthaboutpetfood.com. And those two are really helpful. Obviously, everything that you hear and read out on the internet, you have to take it with a grain of salt to some extent, but use it to educate yourself on pet food. And instead of going with somebody's opinion or what they like, dig in and do some research for yourself and find out what works best. Just like with Louie. Shannon, if you listen to everything out there that Science Diet is, the worst food out there that you can see, you still may be battling stuff with Louie. And that's not a healthy way to go. So I think that you have to find what works best for your dog and what makes the most sense for their overall health and keeping their overall health in balance, so that when you start training, you have a balanced dog instead of a dog that doesn't feel well. Michelle, do you have any parting advice for us on nutrition and what advice you can give to people?
Earlier when you were saying that we put the human emotion into it, I had a vet one time tell me, I was telling him how crazy I was about Prudence and how I didn't ever want her to get fat because I didn't want to put more pressure on her heart than it already needed to be. And he told me, he was like, well, it's much easier to control her diet than it is your own. And that just made me think, if somebody actually did want to plan out my meals every day for me, that would be awesome. That would be great. Like, I would love to eat healthier, and it just can't. Like, it's just not human nature. That's just what we do. But so I've always approached Prudence that way. Well, all of my dogs that way. That I'm going to make sure that they're healthy and they're getting what they need, not what they want. So that would be my parting advice.
That's great. That's great. Shannon, what about you with parting advice on nutrition and dogs?
I just want to speak a little to finding your dog's own ideal weight. It's great to go to the veterinarian and get a starting point for you to go off of. And then as your dog starts to reach that goal that you've come to, with a medical professional, you need to start feeling your dog and feeling what is their ideal weight. And the way you do that is to feel for their ribs, in the side of their body. So if you take an analogy of feeling your hand, if you feel the top of your left hand with your right hand at the knuckles, that's going to be way too thin. You can feel your bones very prominently. That's too thin of a weight when you feel your dog. If you feel the back of your hand, you can feel the bones, a little very gently through the skin. That's going to be how ideal weight feels for your dog. If you feel the palm of your hand, you can't feel anything. That's going to still be too fat for your dog. So, everything's individual, just as with diet is, so is the ideal weight for each of the dogs that you have in your house. And that's one way that you can learn to feel whether your dog is the right weight or not.
Perfect. That is fabulous. All right, you guys, get out there, figure out nutrition for your dog, and give them the best that you can do. And take this advice and find a nutritional balance for your dog.
Thank you for listening. If you want to know more about us and our services, please visit our website at www.wsk9co.com. And as always, we urge you to get out and train.